Hello, and welcome back to the podcast where you are invited for lighthearted conversations about things that matter as you seek to live your most meaningful, beautiful, and joyful life. I'm your host, Dr. Edie Wadsworth, and I hope you enjoy your stay here at the House of Joy. Well, hi there. So happy to be back on the podcast. This is episode 234. We're talking about what you focus on grows. So what are you focusing on? We're going to talk about that today. Let me tell you a little bit about what I am focusing on right now. You guys, Sunday, we had the distinct privilege of watching our little Tommy boy get confirmed at church. So, for those of you who go to churches that don't have confirmation happens in the Lutheran Church. We are in the LCMS Church, Lutheran Church, Missouri Synod. And confirmation happens in our church, usually around 5th or 6th grade. So Tom's in 6th grade, and he's been in confirmation class for a year. So in our church, you get baptized as a baby. Tom was baptized when he was 3. And then you do confirmation, which is acknowledging, like, I'm baptized. This is what I believe. And they go through a year or two, depending on how often the classes are, I think. But we've had a little over a year of classes with our pastor. We have an incredible, amazing pastor. He's so good with the kids, so good with Tom. And he's been in classes for a year. They go through the small catechism. So they had to memorize the commandments and their meanings and the creed, the Lord's Prayer. They go over baptism, the Lord's Supper, the main 6 teachings of the faith. And then when they finish that training, they get to take their first communion in church. So Tom took his first communion in church, you guys. Stevie and I properly lost it. It was amazing. Doing anything with Tom is quite an adventure. So a year's worth of catechism classes with Tom, quite an adventure. I'm actually so glad. I was at most of the classes. Stevie went to a few, but I went to most of them. The teaching was so good. I learned a lot. And we went through the whole small catechism. It's just such a good review. So it was incredible. And I'm so proud of him and so grateful that he now gets to participate with us in communion. So that happened. We also just got back from New York City last week. We spent an amazing several days with our daughter, Ellie. We got to see where she lives. She lives in the theater district, sometimes called Hell's Kitchen. She lives in this lovely place. And so we got to see her. We got to see her boyfriend, Nick. And by the way, you guys, Ellie spends a lot of her time auditioning for Broadway shows and other different shows. And she's doing an audition for a job at a dance studio. So we got to go to the dance studio. And then her boyfriend, Nick, has a show, which is going to be off Broadway in New York, starting in January, called Local Singles. So we're so proud of him. Can't wait for that show. So it was just such a lovely time with her. We saw The Lion King. We celebrated Stevie's birthday, Tom's birthday, which is tomorrow. And then this weekend, I am hosting an amazing live event for my coaches. So if you are new here, I have 2 main programs. I have Life Mentoring School, which is my mentoring program for women to help them rewrite their stories and live out their God-given potential. I also certify Christian life coaches in my method of training. And we have about 400 or so certified coaches, and 120 of them are coming to Knoxville on Saturday. And we're going to do some training. We're going to learn about trauma-informed coaching clients through emotions. I'm going to be teaching about courageous client-centered coaching. It's going to be so amazing. So that's this Saturday. But as I have been writing my talk for Saturday, it just reminded me of the power of what I do. And I talk about this a lot. I know I have told you multiple times about the whole year that I spent focusing on the one sentence, everywhere I look, I see miracles. And really, life coaching is it's like dealing in the miracle business. We're in the business of miracles. We help people really see their lives differently. We help women live as if their life is a miracle, because it is. And as I was writing this talk, I was like, man, people need to know this. They need to know that right in front of them, in the midst of what can feel like a hard, challenging season, there are still miracles everywhere. Every single where you look, you can find them if you're looking. And what you focus on, if you decided to focus on that, if you decided, like, oh, okay, I don't know, maybe she's right. Maybe there are like little tiny miracles everywhere in my life, sometimes big giant miracles staring me right in the face. There are, by the way, I promise you, just look into your baby's eyes and you'll see a miracle. I got a picture this weekend of my grandbabies, and every time I look at them, you guys, it's like miracle. I can't get over it. And it's not to say, like, I think some people, like when I was writing the talk, I'm like, I know some people, when I talk like this, which is the way I always talk, they think, well, it's just a Pollyanna way of looking at life. You're bypassing the hard parts of life. And I promise you, I am not. I promise you that I am fully living in all of life. Sometimes it feels hard and challenging. Sometimes I screw up. Like all of life with all of its challenges, I promise you that I am open and embracing all of it. But I also can tell you that you are the one who gets to decide what part of it you focus on. You get to decide, even if, you're really going through something that feels hard, you can be in that hard thing. You can witness yourself being in the hard thing. And you can also, it's kind of like the paradox of also truly down deep believing that somehow all will be well and finding the small miracles that are still there every single place you turn. And I don't know, it's just crazy. One of the things that, as I was writing this, we were in the middle of a political season. And of course, I'm a human. I have political views, y'all. But I also feel like one of the things that we forget to do is we forget to notice the miracle in the people around us. We seriously forget to notice the miracle in the people whose political beliefs oppose ours. And especially in a season like this, it's like I think about that quote all the time in the C.S. Lewis book where he says, aside from the Blessed Sacrament, aside from the Lord's Supper, your neighbor is the most blessed thing presented to your senses. The most blessed thing that you encounter every day is the person right in front of you. That person who believes differently than you, that person who is voting for someone that you can't believe they would vote for. And so I'm writing this talk about the miracle of life, the miracle that we live in every single day, that as life coaches, we get to remind our clients of. And then I'm watching what could feel like a train wreck. But instead, what I feel like I have been able to do is literally focus on the fact that for centuries, thousands of years, kings have come and gone, evil kings, righteous kings, queens have come and gone. And it doesn't change the fact that God loves us, He chose us, He cherishes us. He presents to us miracles every single day. If we are willing to open our eyes and look, He's going to take care of us. All will be well, no matter what. No matter who gets elected, no matter what happens in your job, no matter what happens in your relationships. What if deep down you believed that somehow He will twist this all to good? And if you focus on that, you don't get so wrapped up. Now, listen, I'm going to vote. I'm probably early voting tomorrow, y'all. So do your civic duty and whatever else. Maybe you're really involved in politics. That's great. But don't forget that the thing you have most agency over is your own mind and your own heart. And what do you want to use that incredible gift that you've been given to focus on? What do you want to use that to create in your own life, in your own relationships? Do you want to use that to really live out the miracle that your life is every single day? To notice the details, to notice the beauty, to notice the people around you and the amazing way that God has created this world with all kinds of different people with all kinds of different beliefs? Or do we just continually spiral down a focus of negativity and forgetting to remember the joy of this everyday life, the joy of this moment that we have. And I just want to remind you because you know what? It might be a rough week. I am just excited. I don't know, it's crazy because I can feel, I know there's a lot of tension in the air, but to me, I've just reinterpreted it as excitement. People are really passionate right now. And I love that. It feels like people are awake, more awake than usual. I love that. We should wake up to our lives. We should wake up to what we can actually control, which is only ever ourselves. So, what do you want to focus on? What do you want to set your heart on? What do you want to create in your life, in your relationships, in your corner of the world? What can you notice in your life that really and truly is a miracle? Because I do believe they're everywhere, even in the week before an election, even in a week where you might be going through really hard and challenging things. Just ask yourself, how would it change my everyday life if I decided to focus on that? How would it change my everyday life if I decided to be ready to be delighted, ready to see the miracles that are all around me? So that is my challenge for you today. What will you focus on? And I hope you will pick something that inspires you, that makes you feel love and joy and peace, because that is always an option. And I hope you have a great rest of your day. Bye for now.